Welcome back to Will at Work. I am Kevin. Today we're looking at a First Dimension home TV game video system. 3 unique games. This one's got an interesting layout. The box, hey look, costs $8.98. I don't think that's what it cost me, but probably cost somebody that at one time when they bought it at a thrift store. Get a manual here and a warranty. Is that still good? Probably not. Looking for a copyright date or something. Tennis, hockey, and robot. Now, robot, when they say robot, that tends to mean this is probably a very early system, and very likely that it's all analog with no chips, or at least no central microprocessor to play the games. That all had to be engineered to make it work. Can't say that for sure unless we opened it up and looked, but I'm sure we can find that out by going online, which I will do, and look in the show notes. So we've got player, and a speed button here. The horizontal, the vertical, player, and speed. This is telling me that this is totally an analog system. It's not a microprocessor. We have 2 to 4 players, game A, B, and C, and restart, off and on. For here we've got what is looking like the TV adapter and a power adapter. We have a big old honkin', that is amazing, antenna switch box. Boy, this one is classic. I mean, this is homemade if I've ever seen one. You know, it was really difficult though to get FCC approval for a lot of these things. And if you were going to make one of these yourself, man, you had to know what you were doing. Otherwise, it was not going to get approved. Or this was sold outside of the United States. We have a Sakai AC adapter from Taiwan. Not that interesting. Output's a 9-volt. But it's rare to get one in the box. 200 milliamp, 5 watt, 60 hertz. So it is American. And we have our standard RCA cable, but a really old school one. I already have one I can use, and we'll try that one rather than this one. Unless I can't get a picture, I'll tinker with this one. Alright, so what I will do is I will hook everything up, switch this over to the video side, and see what we can get. Now, being this is an analog system, you know, it's a very good possibility it might not work, but we have gotten the executive games tennis that did work, and I believe we had one other analog system at one time, can't remember, which also worked. So we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get lucky. Alright, here we go. Okay, we are looking at the First Dimension Video Sports. So we're looking at the First Dimension Video Sports here, and this is a really wild one. I have to first say I'm overdubbing the audio on this one. I had already recorded the audio, and it had worked, but I ran into a bit of a goof up on my end when I was processing these videos. I was layering audio by accident, and so my audio ended up being like a combination of different things at the same time. Technical issues. Lessons you learn in this whole process. Now, you might be thinking, oh geez, it's another Pong system, but what's really wild about this Pong system is first of all, there's a really great write-up on it, and I put the links in the show notes, and it's on Pong Story, and they talk all about this on the history of this particular system. But what's really crazy here is like the switch box that I show in the beginning, little metal switch box, that actually is not to take the signal, right, out of the unit, like the RF, and connect it to your TV, like every other unit. This particular Pong system is outputting the video in composite, right? The yellow plug that you normally see. It isn't a yellow plug because nobody had standardized it back in the mid 1970s when this thing was created. They decided that, hey, we're going to release our Pong system in composite, and then that switch box actually takes that composite signal out and converts it into RF somehow, and without using any power. It's wild. I'm not sure what's going on there. But I didn't have to hook it up that way. I just used the composite, so that's why we have a pretty clear picture. Now, while you're seeing some static that just happened there, the reason for that is there's horizontal and vertical controls on the unit, because this is an analog Pong system, meaning it wasn't designed with microchips. It didn't use like the AY3-8500 or anything of that sort. It may have had some, gates or something that were in like a very crude type of chip, but I think it's mostly just transistors and capacitors and that sort of thing. And they did everything, through engineering on understanding like the power and where everything was supposed to go and shifts in the power and all that sort of thing. And so this is actually a completely custom type of Pong games on here. This is unique to this system. No other system has this, and from what I understand, it's actually kind of rare to find one of these in working order because the quality control at First Dimension was awful. You should read the write-up on it. So not only is it cool that it works, it's cool that it comes out in composite, and it's an analog system, and it's really early days. Now, this isn't the only analog system. We've seen a couple other ones. I think the Telepong was analog. And we're going to look at the Odyssey soon, which is the very first one. Now, I don't know if the Odyssey works. That's, the interesting thing about the Odyssey is that it came out in 1972. And as we've seen throughout this series, most Pong systems started appearing in like 75-ish, right? I'm not saying that was the only ones or whatever, but there was a big gap there. Like Magnavox Odyssey, I think it was just Odyssey at the time, though. I'm not sure. But whatever the case, it was early, man. And they were way ahead. They had years on everybody. And, so it makes sense that there was no microchip at that point. So it makes sense that Odyssey was the first. But they weren't alone. I believe Executive Games Television Tennis, we looked at that one as well. That was also an analog system. But this one is weird. Now, check out this particular screen. I know it's kind of a little bit fuzzy there as I get it tuned in. This is like a four-way Pong tennis. So it's four-player. And, so it's like tennis. You're each in your own little quadrant of the court. And, you would have to, play the game within your own little box. It was really inventive because none of the other ones did this, right? I mean, in today's graphics, of course, this could be done, but these guys were doing this stuff, you know what I mean? Like, you had to be a smart dude to be doing this kind of thing back in like this. I mean, I couldn't do it. Like, I don't know how you'd do anything like this with just like the wires and transistors and things, and then have to figure out like the ball mechanics and how the heck the ball is supposed to go from one place to the other and all that kind of stuff without having any sort of programming involved, I mean, the programming is the logic of the circuits on the board, but really kind of crazy that they were able to do it. And sound also comes straight out of the composite lead. It doesn't come out of the unit itself, if I recall, or something like that. Maybe that's not right. Maybe it is coming out of, or maybe there is no sound. I can't even remember. I'm tired. Been working on these video consoles a long time. I'm beat, man. It's breaking me down. Now look at this one. You don't see nothing like this either, right? It's sort of like High-Li, but it's got this blocker wall in the middle that's kind of, you got to kind of get it just right so you can get that ball in there. And they have this, like, you see those two lines at the top of the screen that kind of can keep score. So they couldn't write an intelligent score system on there because, it would take a lot of work since it was analog, but they still managed to put that little marker up there to say, hey, your score is incremented by one every time, something, the ball got to the other side. Really crazy, really interesting stuff. First Dimension, they released one other system, but it might have been, or maybe two, but I don't know, maybe just one. This was the only one that was worth a damn. I think we looked at the other one or something. Maybe. But video sports, man, this one is wild to me. It's just amazing that people can design stuff like this. Just using wires and engineers. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't have a blueprint. It wasn't like somebody else was doing, like, I mean, they had the Odyssey and stuff, but it wasn't like anybody else was doing it. It's nuts. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you on the next video.